I can't see the little red light. That's the only thing I do.
Okay, wait, let's double check.
Because I need to see this in case it goes off.
Yeah. Well, actually, uncover the whole thing just to make sure that everything is good. The unseen, like the
Yeah, it's good.
Go for you is good. Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
I have faith in that. This is what I'm worried about. Alright. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, sit more back.
Yes.
Oh, not back enough for you can fall off.
Okay.
Hand me the node chipper.
The note chipper?
Let's see, that one's got a chip.
This one is yours and this one is mine, right? The chip one? Alrighty.
Let's cheers to a good podcast.
Cheers, brother.
Yeah. See, I don't usually love lukewarm tea, but in the sun, it's amazing. That tea's amazing, bro. So,
Did we start?
yeah, we're starting, bro.
Okay, cool.
Welcome back to the show, Respectfully Inspired with Aussie Films. I like to start off every episode with my why behind the podcast, which is I want to change the way people measure success. Most people measure success by wealth metrics, which is your money, possessions, and achievements. And I want to inspire you all to measure success by soul wealth metrics, which is the quality of your relationships and memories. Today, I'm here with Haytham Hakim. Sorry.
No worries. Haytham Hakim.
Haytham Hakim. He is from Egypt. He worked at Microsoft. He quit to create not a social media, to create an app that brings real life connection to battle the loneliness epidemic that is happening because of social media. And he's an all around genius. I have so many good words to say about you, bro. He just has good energy. And he's going through a lot right now, and he's still bringing the good energy. So I want to start off.
Is the wind too much?
No, don't worry. I want to start off with quitting Microsoft. Can you tell them why you quit Microsoft? Because that's kind of like a dream job.
Yeah, sure. It was a dream job for me as well. Like, I came to the US as an international student, and when you come as an international student on an F1 visa, there are some certain constraints about how long you can stay in the US legally after you graduate.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is if you don't get a STEM job, if you have already finished your school and okay, sorry.
Yeah. F1 visa.
Okay.
Hey, and remember,
yes.
So success comes before the post button. So if we have a good conversation, if we have a good time.
Are you editing anything or no?
No, and I don't care if it gets 0 views.
Is it? So the whole thing is like supposed to be authentic, legit, right? The whole thing goes as it is.
It goes as it is, and people, I say this every episode now, but I gotta say it so you understand. Everyone posts on social media, and they wait to find out if they're successful.
Yeah.
They hit the post button, they wait to see how much money it makes, or how much likes it gets, or how much...
You already made it by just being
the second
here.
I hit the post button, I know if I'm successful. If I had a good time with you, if we created a memory, we created a relationship, then I don't care what happens.
Perfect. Well, then let me then not talk to them. Let's talk to you. I'll tell you what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. When I came to the US, as I told you, international student on an F1 visa.
Yeah.
Then after you graduate from college, now you have to either leave the country or you secure a job. If you secure a job, you get something called optional professional training, OPT. This is what I got with Microsoft. And my goal was, from the beginning, actually, since I was in college, is to start my own company.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no availability to do that if you are on an F1 visa. So my goal was, what would be, when I joined Microsoft, first of all, I remember sending an email to my college counselor, one of the mentors that I had in college.
Yeah.
And I told them, hey, I am only going to apply to 2 companies, and I'm either going to go to this one or that one because anything else doesn't match my values.
Yeah.
So I didn't apply to Facebook, I didn't apply to Amazon, I only applied to Google or Microsoft.
Yeah.
These were the 2 companies. And I wrote down, I'm going to get my contract with them on the 5th of November.
Yeah.
I signed with Microsoft on the 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really manifest. Like, I'm just telling you how of a big deal it was for me.
Yeah.
I really wanted this job. And it was also going to secure the opportunity for me to have the work visa and hopefully the sponsorship to get the green card and then be able to be a permanent resident in the US. But when I joined Microsoft, things turned out to be different from what I expected. One of the problems were remote work. I joined during COVID. I didn't form any connections with my coworkers. I had some problems with my mental health during that period of time. And I felt as if I was not supported by my team. They didn't onboard me well. And even though I was learning a lot and I was making like progress in my technical skills, I still felt as if I was really empty. And the project that I was working on didn't feel fulfilling to me. We were making a lot of money for people. Like I was working on an enterprise-facing software. So we were making a lot of money, but we were dealing with data and we're dealing with things that when I think about it ethically, I didn't feel that good about it. Like when you think about personalized ads on Instagram, for instance, it is... okay, it's good to get personalized ads if it's going to help your life, but sometimes it can be very annoying if you feel as if, oh wow, how are they reading my mind? And we were trying as hard as we can to get insights about the customers of those big corporations to just give them better, to sell more. To sell more. And the question came is the point to sell more? Is the point to sell more?
Yeah.
Is it always the point to sell more? To make people watch more? To get people's attention? Why isn't less but more meaningful?
Dude,
you know?
We're in the attention economy. That's what they say.
Yeah.
The most valuable possession of our era is people's attention. And it's really kind of sad. But so you're saying you're at Microsoft and your main job is dealing with people's data, and you start to feel that it doesn't align with your values and that you're feeling a little bit lonely, that it's during COVID.
I was not dealing directly. Microsoft, to be honest, first of all, is a great company. Like, if you ever go to Microsoft, you will see you never actually get to see customer data. They really take care of I just have to give them some credit where credit is due, you know?
Be honest.
Yeah, they definitely, like, you can't just as an engineer get access to customer data, which is common in other companies. Like some companies, big companies, you can see user data quite easily. Microsoft, we had a policy you couldn't access that amount of data at all. So I was not dealing with user data. I was working on a product that if it's successful, if it does a job, then we're going to be selling more, like companies are selling more to their customers, but that required a lot of that data acquisition and also generating insights on that data, which somehow for me just didn't seem like it's right. Yeah,
that seems right. So from this point on, what makes you decide to leave? How do you take that leap?
I was... honestly, it's a mixture between stoicism and a friend of mine who passed away, and he was my age at that time. I was 24. He passed away when he was 24, and that kind of and he didn't pass away from an accident. It was just a normal death, you know, and it just put things into perspective. This life I have is limited. The time that I have here is limited. And do I want to be spending it this way? Do I want to wake up every day and do what I'm doing right now? And the answer was no. And I was like, okay, well, if the answer is no, what else? I don't know how long I'm going to be alive. Can I guarantee one more day? Can I guarantee one more day? I can't guarantee one more day. So you can look at it as impulsive, but at the same time, I wanted to view my life as, if I leave today, which is a Stoic practice, if I'm leaving today, if I die today, did I lead a good life? There's this quote, I can't remember which Stoic philosopher it was, but it says, at any point where you leave life, if you have lived your life the right way, it is the right moment. You know?
I agree with that. I really do agree with that. I think you mentioned you couldn't just stay here, so you had to do something through Microsoft to upgrade your visa.
Exactly. So I was waiting. Yeah, that actually ended up being the constraining factor, because I submitted well, two things actually. When you sign a contract with Microsoft,
Yeah.
they give you a sign-on bonus.
Yeah.
And if you leave within any time of that first year, they would have you pay that money with the taxes. So like when you get it, they have to withdraw some taxes with all taxes, but when you pay it plus the amount of money with taxes, right?
Wow.
So imagine, let's say they give you 20K.
Yeah.
You end up receiving, let's say, 16, but you have to return the 20.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So at that point, actually, I knew that I wanted to quit, and Microsoft, like really early, maybe I have some journal entries that was like within 5 days. Within 5 days of joining, I knew that this is not the place. And I stayed for 5 months kind of battling through this until I'm like, I'm either going to quit and pay that sign-on bonus or switch teams. And I ended up switching teams. After doing that, things got better for a bit until the 1 year mark when I decided, okay, you know what? Now I don't have to pay the sign-on bonus and I can leave. So I submitted my 2 weeks notice. And I told Microsoft I'm leaving, I'm about to, and at that time I was thinking about the company that I wanted to start. I was seeing the problem that people are facing with social isolation, and I really wanted to build that product. And I submitted my 2 weeks notice, and then my manager told me, we're applying for your green card next week.
Oh my.
Yeah.
But was that a good news or bad news?
It was really good news, and at the same time, like, you know, when you're making some moves like this, at least first of all, we don't really know sometimes when we're making moves. We always have some information, but lack of a lot. So I wasn't entirely sure if I'm making the right move. Am I ready to start a company? Do I have enough skills to do it? So I was questioning, and I was asking the source. I was wondering whether this is the right move or not, and I asked if it is the right move. If it's not the right move, change my heart during the conversation I have with my manager. That was my ask. And while we were talking, my heart changed. He told me about this. I felt as if, oh wow, this changes a lot of things. Now because if I quit at that time, I would have only had 60 days in the country. And then I would leave. So I was like, okay, you know what? This makes more sense. Now I would have at least the legal backing so that I can have more time. But it ended up taking so long to get that green card thing. It was pretty hard time of uncertainty, about 2 years actually.
Wow. So how long were you at Microsoft?
Microsoft about almost 3 years.
3 years, and then you get your green card, and you finally feel this freedom that you can go start your company. But I don't want you to jump into the company yet, because I want to start with, first we must address, I'm going to say Instagram, but this goes for TikTok and all YouTube Shorts and Snapchat Spotlight. Why do these apps cause depression?
Well, it's not exactly that they cause depression per se. These apps, many of them have designed their applications. When you think about it, how does Instagram or TikTok or YouTube make money? It's about watch time. The more you watch, the more ads you can see, the more money they make. So in order for them to succeed as a product, they want you to watch more. How do you watch the most? You get addicted. So their designs started becoming more and more, from the beginning, addictive. There is a book called Hook. It's about how those applications were designed in order for them to hook your attention. They were designed when they actually ran some experiments, even on rats. When you give a rat a dopamine button, like a button when they hit, they get dopamine, rats were hitting that button until completely they would collapse. So they can keep on, like, imagine the same thing with the endless scroll. And people have talked about this for so long, the gambling metaphor. It's like gambling. The idea is you're getting those random rewards from time to time by the endless scroll. Oh, haha, this was funny. Haha, whatever. Something random shows up in your feed, gives you some dopamine. Now, this action is so easy to do, to just a swipe of a finger. To get some dopamine, you can keep doing this all day. Yeah, and the thing is, as humans, we were not designed for this completely like mindless act. We were designed to get the dopamine through hard actions. When you think about how long it took us back in the day as hunters and gatherers to get something that would give us dopamine, it took hunting, it took running in the savannas, it took a lot of effort in order for us to get a reward. But now you can see a lot of people sitting on their toilet seats or on their couch or under their blankets, and they are just like scrolling and they're getting some dopamine. Your mind, after a while, isn't just like used to that, amount of dopamine. You break your dopamine reward, like the reward system in your brain. And eventually, things that are difficult and require delayed gratification, such as studying for an exam, or whenever you're doing that act, you're feeling that impulse to go grab your phone. Because this is going to give me dopamine right now. Even though, back in your mind with your frontal cortex, if you're not doing it with impulse, you know that this is not a good act for me, you're so sucked because like you already had habitually made that act, and now you're just like every time something is difficult, something is boring, something is not the way you want to live it, you just go for your phone for escape. And imagine doing this over and over again, all day long, every day. After a while, it is the depression comes from the consequence of repeating this action over and over again.
Well, dude, you're like a freaking knowledge bank. I have so many things to comment on, but I guess to put it in simpler terms, you have like a baseline level for happiness that your consumption, any type of consumption, if you eat unhealthy food, it gives you dopamine. If you jerk off, watch porn, it gives you dopamine. If you scroll on TikTok, if you do drugs, if you drink alcohol, everything raises your bar of dopamine. And the higher your natural dopamine goes, the harder it is to be happy. And this is the issue, is that everyone knows that drugs do it. Everyone knows that alcohol does it. Most people know that jerking off and sexual, but food is just starting to come into the equation, and this is the real hitter, is that no one thinks of themselves as a drug addict. And I was saying this on my last podcast, it was inspired by you, is that when I get anxious, much like I have an alcoholic brother, much like my alcoholic brother might get anxious and take a drink of alcohol, I think that, maybe I'm better, I'm not addicted to alcohol. But when I get anxious, you know what I do?
Grab the phone.
And I open Instagram. That's the first thing I do. And a few minutes into it, I'm like, I realize that it's worse. And I liken it to the food, to me, is the best comparison, because you eat a candy bar and it feels great the whole time you eat it. And then in an hour or so, you feel anxious, you feel depressed. And most people will not relate their anxiety and their depression to that food. They will think that there's something wrong with me. I'm a depressed person. I'm an anxious person. And they will never, a lot of people, because of the barrier to, how to explain this? Everyone knows about instant gratification, but no one talks about the idea of delayed depression, which is, if I eat something unhealthy or use this phone, then that depression or the anxiety, it's not instant. It comes in an hour or two, and then you build this narrative about being a depressed person. I know you have some thoughts on it.
No, yeah, for sure. I was just gonna say some couple of things about like the way dopamine works in the brain. You know, dopamine is not about getting the reward. It's about anticipation of the reward. So the when you anticipate a reward, the dopamine is engaged, and dopamine is a motivating factor. It's a motivation. Like when you feel motivated to do something, it's because humans are motivated by or incentivized by rewards. If there is an incentive, if there is a reward that you think is going to happen from a certain act, you feel like you're motivated to do it. Then this is when the dopamine spikes the most, when you're anticipating. Actually, after you get the reward, after you get what you're looking for, dopamine crashes. You know, like it goes down, and this is why when you start feeling that like postpartum, not like for instance, people have, let's say, they engage in a sexual act, and right after they feel depressed.
Yeah.
Because it's the anticipation of the reward, especially if that reward came from a cheat meal or something that was easy, you don't feel that this reward was actually fulfilling. Some part of your brain knows deep down, you know, and repeat that action over and over again, and you find yourself, depression is a very complex, like, it's, I don't like saying, oh, now you get depressed by that act. But depression is a lot of chemical imbalances, but also behavioral problems. Like you have created the lifestyle that cause you, every time you feel anxious, to hold your phone. Every time you feel like that this is difficult, to go watch porn. And eventually you can't face the difficulty. Everything in your social circle is like kind of confirming the fact that you're kind of like a loser. And adding all these things and piling all these things contributes to your mental health problem and then causes depression.
Have you ever heard of the marshmallow test?
The marshmallow test, yeah.
Okay, I should explain it for them.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes,
I might.
Sure.
But basically, they studied a group of people throughout their entire lives, and when they were kids, they offered them one marshmallow. They said, "Hey, you guys can all eat this one marshmallow right now, or you can wait a couple hours and have 2 marshmallows in a couple hours." Or maybe it was 3 marshmallows, I don't know. The kids that chose the delayed gratification, which was taking the 2 marshmallows later rather than the instant marshmallow, were studied throughout their lives, and they were more successful. And now, it's funny because when they did that experiment, I don't think, we didn't even live in the culture we do now, which is instant gratification. This is the instant marshmallow. And we already know that instant gratification leads to less successful lives, but we're just, and that's the issue with the, is that I don't think people are inherently evil. I don't think Instagram is sitting there like, I can't wait to make all these people depressed or anxious. But I think that, like you said, and a lot of people will claim money is the root of evil.
And yeah, go ahead. No.
To make more money, they need more of your time. And to have more of your time, they need you more addicted to this. And you being addicted, their money comes at your anxiety and your depression. And by the time someone puts that together, they probably don't even feel it. It's like, if I were to sit and punch you in the face, I would have to sit with my actions. I know that, like, I hurt you. But it's like, if I were to throw my hand and then drive an hour away and I'm at dinner with my friend and then it hits you in the face, that's like what these companies are doing.
Yeah, no, but they know, like, I mean, for instance, when you Facebook had this research paper, they had 6 research papers that came out. They had a whole team doing research on the impact of Instagram on people.
Yeah.
And they found like direct correlation between suicide cases in teenage girls and the usage of Instagram. They knew, but again, they didn't change anything. It's not the lack of knowledge. It's not that they don't know that these things. There is that. If you ever watch The Social Dilemma, documentary on Netflix, the people who created and contributed in the creation of what we call social media right now, they regret a lot of their actions and they think it went in a very negative direction. It is actually also not even social media itself. If we go back to the marshmallow test, I think the problem is a bit deeper than this. Some kids have, through that marshmallow test, you saw that some kids have the ability to have delayed gratification and some kids didn't.
Yeah.
So, but then you can say arguably, well, did they start using social media from that age? No. There are some factors that are other than this that make some people more prone to addiction and unable to engage in delayed gratification than other people.
Yeah.
If you grow up in a family that is unstable, an unstable home, where you didn't get, there are some things documenting the fact that if your mother has experienced postpartum depression, and she was depressed after she gave birth to you.
Yeah.
And she was unable to engage in something called attunement. Attunement is when babies look in the eyes of their mother and then they try to do something like this. This is the first form of communication a baby can do. And if the mother is too preoccupied, unable to engage and gaze into the eyes of her child and do that play, the child will develop some neurological sort of defects, you can call them, such as later on in life, they found that with more than like 40 something percent can causes ADHD to occur. So they observed kids, this is another study, playing from an orphanage and kids that had stable families, and they both observed them just playing with some cubes. The kids that played with the cubes that came from stable families, they were just engaged in the activity, doing it without anything. The other kids that had been like in foster homes or orphanage, they were always looking for the approval or looking for the adults in the room. They are unable to engage in the activity, and they're just looking around, distracted. There's a very good book called Scattered Minds by Gabor Mate. And he talks about this sort of the effects of our environment in causing our neurological setbacks, such as ADHD. And there is the contribution definitely of the tools that we have, but also we can't take out of the equation that our society in itself has been broken, and we have this generational trauma that is being passed from one generation to another, causing that the families, like they call it the mother wound or the father wound. Mm-hmm. These things are very difficult because we came from a hostile environment in the past, and until now, we didn't have a time to just sit down, process, and heal from all these things. If you're in some environments, they are better, but in some other environments, the mother and the father are still pretty much like causing abuse and destructing the life of a child.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the wind right now.
Yeah. It's too much. It's too windy. Yeah.
So I think we gave them a lot of good information there.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of tell your life story while also telling your life's mission, which you maybe may or not know or not know. But so now we have identified a huge issue. Where do you see, because you move from an ethical point of view. I know that you said like you're not here to make a bunch of money. I mean, hopefully that will be a byproduct of your success, but you want to change the world for the better. How does your vision for Tribbel elaborate on?
Yeah. So first, Tribbel is the thing that I started doing after I left Microsoft. Mm-hmm. For context, and right now Tribbel is nothing from the perspective of most people. Hopefully one day this is gonna be a gold mine for some people. Yeah. I will see that the early stages of wow. But Tribbel is we don't call it social media app. It is a social connection app. The idea is connecting you with love and belonging in your life. Imagine if anywhere in the world that you're at, you can find at least 8 people to get a hug from. That's, if we do this, if we can fulfill that, that's a big deal. Now, when you think about the human motivation aspects of things, love and belonging is one of the core pillars that a human being needs. And when we are getting all this dopamine hits from that phone, everybody's doing it in isolation. Who's meeting who? We're all watching those people who are having good summers on Instagram, but who's having a good summer? Who's finding like their best, like the tribes and the buddies and the lovers, any sort of like that feeling of I belong here, I'm at home. This is the feeling that we want to give everybody. So that's the mission of Tribbel, to help and assist anybody who is looking for love and belonging, respectfully, there is a normal distribution of human beings. Some people have love and belonging in a very dark area.
Yeah.
Anyways, I might have missed your question.
No, I think
Yeah.
that was a good starting point.
Uh-huh.
This is such a noble mission to give people love and belonging. And a lot of people say that a lot of experts are calling this moment in time right now, they're calling it a loneliness epidemic. And I believe that it's greatly caused by social media, and not just the dopamine. I think the dopamine contributes, but I think it's the comparison. The comparison of everyone posts their best moments online. So you see, even as someone, I literally love my life. And I'm sure you've enjoyed your life. There's moments bad and good, but I can go on and find someone my age who's just way more successful.
Yeah.
No matter what level of success I'm at, I will find someone more successful.
Yeah.
And the issue is that a lot of people acknowledge the comparison in the way of, oh, that person's better than me. But the truth is, it's bad both ways. When I look at someone and they have a less successful life than me, or by my metrics, like how we're constantly comparing ourselves. Social media compares it. And a lot of people can acknowledge this, like feeling bad because someone lives a better life, but it's bad both ways. Like when I live a good life and I'm looking at someone and I go, maybe that person's not fun enough to hang out with, or maybe that person's not exciting enough to hang out with. And how ignorant is it of me to use myself as the model for comparison? Like my flawed image as a model for comparison. And this is what Instagram does to you. This is what social media does. It says, hey, this is your page. This is your world. Compare everyone to you.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel bad enough for not being as successful as these people, well, then you should feel good because you're better than everyone else. And that's a horrible mindset just as well, because it's teaching me that I should only be friends with a certain caliber of person. And then the more and more I believe that, the more and more people are getting isolated.
True, you brought a very good point actually. Beside the design of social media apps and how this endless scrolling works, part of it is that performance, fiasco almost of everybody is in a costume party. Wearing a mask. You just show up and you have to kind of like act with the norms of that platform. So Instagram is like you show up, like you want to show off, flex some of the good things that are happening in your life, but nobody's like posting when they're depressed or crying or because like, oh, that's a bad vibe, you know, or there is this constant, if you're having a hard time in your life and you go on Instagram, it can feel harder because you're comparing yourself to all these like curated moments in people's lives, which makes you feel that performance. Like if we're taking this clip and then there are some things that are happening, there's like trash here in that area and stuff. If I'm gonna post it on Instagram, I'm gonna pick the best moment and I'm gonna pick that tree and I'm gonna frame it and I'm gonna edit it and put it on Instagram. And that way people will think, oh, this guy's cool, he's artistic, and I understand why we want to display the best parts of ourselves, but it's seeming and being are very two different things. Like you can seem really competent, you can seem really confident online, you can seem very artistic, aesthetic, and then be something completely different.
And I think that is like such a big issue in it, but I think it's a big issue both ways, is that even if I'm someone who really has, the sad thing is that a lot of people who have the good Instagrams really are the people who have the good lives. Yeah. But you're training, again, it's like your social media creates a narrative for each type of person.
Where's a good life though, dude? Because I feel like, is it a good life when I am constantly thinking, oh, I need to take a good picture so I can post it on Instagram? I don't think that's a good
I don't think so either.
Yeah, it's just, we kind of like look at this and think, oh, wow, this is a very beautiful feed. But we forget how they got to that beautiful feed. So many things behind the scene of like, oh, trying to take the perfect picture. If you have ever been around an influencer, an Instagram influencer, you wouldn't like your life that much because they have to, like some of them, the ones that curate their feed so much, I have seen it. They have different dresses. They pick the perfect spot. They change one dress after the other. Like it is just, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I 100% agree. And that's why I talk about the success before post and after post. Is that most people post something and they're waiting to find out if they're successful. They don't know. All the metrics they can control don't determine if they're successful. They're waiting to see the metrics that you guys control. They're saying, hey, when I post this, if this gets 1 million views, well, then I made it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to, that's the message of the podcast is I'm trying to change it so that I share this so that people can relate. And I share this because I want it to be my career. I want to make a living off of it. But I hope the goal is that people take this and they realize, hey, the success, I'm sorry, but the success is not for you. It's for me and Hasim. I'm sorry.
I love you, bro. Haytham. No worries. He will get it.
It's because I always called you Haytham.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to switch it.
Do whatever.
But it's for me and you. That I
honestly don't think there's success anywhere. Like, actually.
Yeah.
So what is it successful for us to have a 1 million view? Arguably, I just think that the whole model and that determination of what success looks like versus what you actually think success is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can reach all the things. Even when I got to Microsoft and people saw, oh, this is very successful.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was successful. I feel like there is just a huge misconception. And the tools that we have in our hands are very powerful. Like, the thing is, when you think about it, the fact that you can go on YouTube and get a whole degree right now, we can't undermine that social media has also changed things to the better. Way much, like, you can get inspired, you can see your favorite creators and people, like artists, can actually display their work. There has been a lot of good work that's done. The problem is when you connect everybody, it's like a huge nervous system. If one part of that nervous system starts having a disease, now we have a mass psychosis.
Yeah.
And the problem is we couldn't like instead of the platform or if social media platforms actually cared about the human mind or our humanity, they could have started to limit some of these problems that started arising at the beginning. When people started watching pranks, YouTube reacted very late in the game. Yeah. After the pranks started getting more and more extreme, they started thinking, oh, you know what? This is getting out of hand. Some people are getting hurt. Yeah. But at some point, people were just watching pranks all the time. Yeah. That was the YouTube.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's why I say, to me, and I guess you guys don't have to agree with this, but this is the message of the podcast, is that you have to know what success is for yourself. And a lot of people define success as something and they get it and then they're not happy, which maybe for you was that Microsoft job. Or maybe for me, for the long time, I thought 1 million subscribers was it. But I never got there. So I'm kind of glad I didn't get there. But
one day, man. One day, I believe it.
Now, to me, success, I also try to do this. To me, a good exercise for success is if your success is a future metric, then to me, it's no good because the future is never now. And so relationships and memories are never in the future. They're always with you. They could say they're in the past, but they're with you in the moment, that I can access my memories right now. In my relationships, I can access right now, that I can spend time with you. And to me, that is the biggest thing. And if my friend in there who lives out of his car, who had a Tesla, who had a house, he had his dream, he's happier living out of his car because his relationships are better.
I argue that ideally you would have the whole thing. In a way, when you think about what makes a human being, what are the needs of a human? Yeah. There's this Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah. Some of it is the physiological. Yeah. You know, you want to feel like the body temperature isn't too cold, not too warm, that you have enough food in your system. Security comes after that you have some enough money, some shelter. Then comes love and belonging. Then comes esteem. Then comes self-actualization. Then comes even self-transcendence. Yeah. Ideally, we built a society that works in alignment with our human needs. Yes, go for it.
I'm going to take the lean slot now.
No worries. Ideally, we built a society that works in alignment with our human needs. Yeah. That provides people with connection. In order for us to have connection these days, it is hard work. It is hard work. But if we have a design of a city that doesn't have that many if we have a design of a city where we are in a walking distance from one another, that's a better society. Like, urban planning is very important. We have to think about how we have built a society so far and why is it so destructive to the soul and the mind and the body. And how can we do better? How can we do better? Because we're heading in a very weird direction. I feel that way.
I have a point on this.
Yeah.
Have you ever like had your friends? Your friends want to do something. They want to hang out, and you're like, oh, that sounds fun, but you're a little tired, and you're like, but it would just be easier to hang at home and watch a movie or stay on my phone. Like it's so. I guess like this is the way. Is that everyone needs some form of belonging, and this is the way I see it. Is that in our parents' age and before the phone age, you had to go get that sense of belonging. You had to go find it in friendships and parties and hanging out and religion, whatever. And that still exists now, but this will give you just enough belonging where you're not gonna feel like in survival mode where you're gonna go out and really seek it, but it doesn't fulfill you.
And this is why eventually, after you keep on thinking, oh, it's giving me enough belonging, just a bit to keep by, after some time, it just collapses and you feel completely alone.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's a battle. It's a battle. Right now, we're battling a lot of things. We're battling our minds. If you have experienced any phone addiction, any type of addiction, you will know that the reverse acts are difficult to perform. But eventually, if you repeat them and you try to find a support system, or you set your intentions really, really clearly and you start casting votes in that right direction, we have strong winds coming and picking up. Wow.
I hope my camera doesn't fall.
No, I hope so too.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Yeah. I just think that I feel very positive about the future, actually. I feel very optimistic about it because even during that time before the phones, I don't think when were people authentic? That's the thing. Yeah. Authenticity, I think, is a key, like a very, very important thing. If you feel like you are who you are, and you feel that you trust who you are, you're able to show who you are and display it in the room without having to have a persona, and at the same time feel accepted for who you are, which is different from, okay, I accept you, but there are some behaviors that are not tolerable. Yeah. And you can work on that. You can grow with us. Yeah. You have a tribe that actually cares about you, and authentically you can display who you are. I feel like we need to enter an era where you don't have to have that burden of a persona or an identity, or it just show up as you are. Talk the real talk, not the small talk. Show up to this room and be like, hey, are you happy? Yeah. Okay. Tell me more. Do you want to talk about it? Like, and being able to go. I think, I don't know, it might be an ADHD thing. We like to go deep really quickly. Yeah. But I don't know.
I think though, vulnerability is so big. I mean, that's how it's like, and I like that you gave credit to social media because, to be honest, I think social media has done more harm than good in the overall. In my life, it's done by far more good than harm.
More good?
Way more good. I've met a majority of my friends on social media. Yeah. YouTube was like, gave me a purpose. I was way lonely in high school before I joined YouTube and I pursued this lifestyle. And it was very, very powerful for me.
Right, because you couldn't find. I remember you saying something about like, for an entrepreneur, they don't have their like reality that they want, so they create it.
A lot of people, I'll try to reference what you're saying, is a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of creators, podcasters, they feel like they don't belong in their world. And that world is not this phone world. That is high school. That is college. That is, these people are going to parties and drinking, and maybe I don't like that, or maybe I'm getting bullied, or maybe I'm the smallest kid on the football team, and you feel like you don't belong there. And so you go, where can I find my place? And to me, YouTube, it was a very lonely road at first, but it led me to friends that had the same values as me. It led me to friends that were adventurous. But it's also, it's hard to say that because the community will never do it for you. You can never just like hit join on Discord and your life's solved.
This is what I want to do with Tribbel.
Yeah, I know that's it.
Like, I want it to be easier. Like, you had to create a YouTube channel put all that effort in order for you to stand a little bit so people can notice you, and then you can be in social circles that you share the values with.
But
I'm trying to make it easier for people to go through that experience.
yeah, I do want to give credit to like religion and God, because I do think, in my humble opinion, that I think that is the ultimate belonging, because no other connection is promised. I could grow up to abusive dad, an abusive mom. My mom or dad could die. My friends could hate me at school. No connection in this world is promised. The only thing that is promised is that if I believe in God, even as a construct, that is a relationship. And if you choose not to believe in God, good for you. I'm not going to stop you, but like, you're just taking away the only relationship that is promised to you.
The one thing that I have difficulty, I guess, I do agree with you, but like at times, especially let's say you're a monk, a hermit, you're just completely on your own and you work on your relationship with God, which I believe this is a very important, it's probably where like you can get the total alignment in your purpose and your utility in life. But you still want to hug people. You still want to hug people. You still in a way, I mean, you can talk to God and God will listen, but you still want to hug people. You know what
I
I'm
think
saying?
this comes down to like your belief in God. So like I believe that God has a plan for relationships in my life. And again, even if God wasn't true, but like I believe God's true, even as a concept, if you believe in manifesting, which I would say a majority of people believe in manifesting, and if I believe that God has a purpose for me and that includes good relationships, even just that belief will probably end up bringing good relationships into my life.
Yeah.
But I do get your point, and I think it's so important, because the truth is everyone doesn't believe in God, and the truth is the sense of belonging that I get, other people aren't finding it, and that's why I appreciate and love the mission of Tribbel, and I want to know more about how you aim to create a place where someone can hit join and find belonging.
Right. I feel like one part of it is what you mentioned about YouTube. You notice that a lot of the YouTubers have, because they didn't feel that love and belonging, they started creating their own communities.
Yeah.
So our first target right now is to get to creators who have successfully created a virtual community. They have got some people, like-minded people, around an idea, around some certain content. And because those people, if you sat them down in one room, they will find something to talk about. You know, imagine if you like Yes Theory, Nathalian Drew, and some other creator, let's say Colin and Samir.
Yeah.
Just by the fact that you watch all those creators, and Casey Neistat, let's say, because I love Casey, you would be able to find like some parts of your the way of thinking gravitated towards that type of content. So we're gonna be taking that virtual community and creating ways of making it in person. So for instance, we come to Casey Neistat and be like, hey, do you want all your creators, or your community to be able to do meetups with each other, to be able to find other like-minded people nearby that follow your content? And in a way, we would work with those creators so that we can make their communities very strong in real life, in person. Designing, first of all, the app connecting people, but also the experiences for them to connect. And any creator that wants to work with us will work with them. There are going to be different needs for each community. And from there, we're going to be scaling and I can't share the stage 2 yet.
Yeah.
But stage 1 is that,
it's funny. You've explained this to me a couple of times, but right now I just had my biggest revelation of how genius that is. Because one of my favorite books of my entire life is The Third Door. And I went to a book meetup hosted by the author. And he did this whole dinner, this whole event. And it was one of the most life-changing moments of my life. And that book is really, really good. But I've read a lot of really, really good books. The difference with that book is that I met a bunch of other people who really, really liked the book. And through those connections and the shared thing we all learned, it literally changed my life. Like, it's like almost a way of living. And I could say the same thing about the Bible. It's like, oh, I believe the Bible, and I go to this meetup every week at this church, and those changed my life. And there's all these other shared communities that have impacted my life, but I haven't hit that step of going in person. And now that I'm hearing you explain it, where you take the creator and you say, because it's a lot of work for creators to organize their own meetups, and also a lot of creators don't want to go to their own meetups because they don't want to deal with the fame. And if I'm at the meetup, then that means everyone's harassing me. And so what you're doing and taking that load off the creator and giving it to the community, dude, I think it's genius. I'm even having breakaways just hearing you think about it.
I'm hoping that people will see its like utility, and in the end, yeah, I mean, I put everything on the line to make this thing happen. Yeah, I'll be excited about it.
Dude, I believe in you. I just want to let you know that I'm a little flustered with the wind right now. Even if this audio is freaking ass.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I know.
But I do want to ask you because you've gone into a... Hold up. This kit actually needs to be addressed because it's... Oh, frick. Okay.
I got you.
I thought this thing would help the heat, but I think it's just making my camera shake. Learning scenes.
Oh, wow. Here we are.
Hello, guys. What was it gonna... Actually, while I'm doing this, I want to ask you... Someone stole a bunch of your money just now.
We can't.
We won't
talk about this.
Not super in depth.
Yeah.
But just say how you're feeling. And be honest, because this is what the people need to hear. About just going through a rough time.
Yeah.
Don't have to get in detail.
Yeah. Well, I actually do not entirely know if this is the truth or not yet, but it seems like it's the most likely outcome that I might have lost all the funds that I saved for, Tribbel and my personal funds. But I still do not know the truth. I'm hoping for the best,
I respect you saying that you don't know the truth.
Yeah.
Don't make assumptions.
Yeah. So
How about this?
Yes.
Let's rephrase the question.
Yes.
You told me before that you're kind of sad in life right now.
Yes.
And I respect that, bro.
Yes.
Because you're a very honest person. And let me speak on this. A lot of people are sad and they drain the energy of others. And that was me. I used to be a depressed kid in high school and I would drain the people around me.
Yeah, me too.
But
when I was younger, yeah.
This kid, he's sad right now, and through his sadness, he brings energy to the people around him, and that's a freaking amazing skill.
I mean, so here's the thing. I attribute it also to a more stoic mentality, but also, can we sit like back to back?
Why?
Yeah. Oh, is it too hard?
No,
it's good. It's okay. Yeah, man. I mean, it is hard to live a life where you feel as if you don't have community.
Yeah.
Because when things get dark, when you fall, what happens usually? Like you wanna, okay, you can stand up, you can get yourself on your feet. It's very admirable to get yourself on your feet, but then do this multiple times. I feel, okay, again, the connection you have with the source or God can be very helpful in that, because you don't feel like you're alone.
Yeah.
But then when things get dark and you have people that understand you, that support you, that loves you, you feel like they're pouring light in you. They are pouring light in you. And suddenly the things that were very, very difficult to face are bearable. I got mugged in my life twice.
Yeah.
And one of them, I was like, we were tied down. We for 45 minutes, we were getting robbed by a gang, a group of people. But because we were a group of people, I was not alone. I felt as if any negative consequences happen, I wasn't feeling that scared, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I felt as if there was that camaraderie, that I'm not alone, that I'm facing this difficulty with other people as well. The second time I was on my own.
Yeah.
It was mentally tormenting afterwards to deal with the impact of that like assault or incident. But and I attribute it to the fact that in life we chose to be in communities. In the past we realized that it is better to find a community than to just be completely on your own. It is better for most people. Let's just say that. So I feel like where I'm at right now in life is I accepted that I might be a bit different from most, but at the same time, I think if everybody is authentic, we're all different. We're all really different. But some people conform to a certain group. They go drinking, they go do this, activities that I wouldn't want to do, and engaging in very small talk. And eventually I just felt that this is not my place. That I can't engage in any of those activities anymore. So I have been a bit isolated. I wouldn't call it lonely, just decided to isolate until I find my tribe, until I find my community, until I find people that would, when I am down in the dark, they are able to pour light in me, and I am able to pour light in them as well. It is one of my dreams right now, to just find a tribe, you know.
I have a couple things to say.
Yeah.
The first thing I found really interesting about you getting mugged once with community and once with not, which is a very interesting juxtaposition, is that it's almost like, this is a really crazy comparison. I was in a frat, which is, now I'm not a frat person at all, but it's like, why does the concept of hazing exist? It's because shared suffering builds greater community. Are you worried about that?
No, I'm not.
It's because shared suffering builds greater community. Why are people close with their family members? Because you go through stuff with your family. It's shared suffering. And so that idea of shared suffering, and it goes the other way, shared like glory, like going through those moments is what it builds the sense of belonging. That's literally why frats haze kids. Which is, I'm not advocating for it, but it does make sense.
They can do it in a much better way. Like, I mean, frats, because of the immaturity of the group at that time, they choose hazing as the activity, but you can have a common struggle in many ways. You can decide to go build homes in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
That's a common struggle. But like, you guys are going to have very difficult time, but it's a good act, you know?
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to ask you was, you were building an app to solve a problem of finding your tribe. And right now you don't feel like you have your tribe.
Yes.
Does that make you feel like a fraud?
A fraud? No, actually. No, not at all. I feel that I understand the problem really well because I'm facing it too.
Dude, that's such a good perspective.
Yeah, like I am one of the market. I'm part of the market. Like the target group,
audience.
the target audience, because I am building it for myself as well. And to me, if Tribbel is successful, I'm able to find my tribe, and I would solve my problem and the problem of many others at the same time. I don't think I'm a fraud at all. I feel that.
That's good, bro.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of people would take that perspective, and you have a growth mindset, and I think.
I think many of the entrepreneurs that I found.
Yeah.
Is it recording?
Yeah, I just want to check.
Yeah. The entrepreneurs that I loved their products, they faced the issue that they were trying to solve. It touched them personally. And for me, like leaving my home at age of like 16, right? Losing my father, feeling that I am out of tribe all the time, you know? I think I have really understood a lot about that problem on a personal level, that if I build an app that solves it, I will know, oh, okay, that feels right. That feels good. You know, I understand that this is, and I know it's possible. Right, it's possible.
I believe in you. I 100% believe in you, and I love that you're going for that motive. It's an interesting comparison, but my best friend, who is a computer engineer, is that your degree?
Yeah.
Computer engineer, same as you. You know what he wants to do with his life is create an app for allergies, because he's deathly allergic to all nuts.
Oh, really? I'm allergic to nuts too, but not deathly. Yeah.
He'll die.
Yeah, wow.
If he eats anything with nuts in.
Wow.
And it's completely changed the way he travels, the way he moves, and he knows the struggle. And so that's what he wants to do, and I love that point of operation.
Yeah.
This has been such an insightful conversation. I like to end every podcast in the same way, which is to it's to give us a soul wealth perspective. And that is, what do you want people to say about you when you die?
I don't want people to say, I want them to feel, actually. Like, I want them to feel something more than say anything. I appreciate the moments that are felt in silence more than like outspoken words. It would be nice if someone remembers me in good light and shares some good things about me. But more than anything, I want that when someone is facing a difficulty in their lives, when it's dark time, and they remember me, they'll be like, I will push a little harder, or that they just feel something good in their hearts and in their hearts.
It's interesting. You're the only person that there's two people that take that perspective. You and Serafina said something similar. She said, I want myself to live as like almost an inspiration. Like if she's gone and someone's going, should I go skydiving? They go, Serafina would do that, so I should do it. And there's another comparison. I don't know if you'll like this one or not, but Kanye said, how do you want to be remembered? He said, I don't want to be remembered because the greatest inventors aren't remembered. He said, who created the stoplight? Who created the wheel? You don't know, because the inventions are so great. They live beyond the creator.
Yeah, you're right. And also at the same time, in the past, I used to have that legacy mindset.
Yeah.
I really want people to know who I am and like have Steve Jobs effect on people. Yeah. And then I realized I actually don't even know if I will realize it when I'm dead or not. I'm not going to even feel it, like most likely. But if it was a positive effect where some kid out there was having a really difficult time, and just because of the story that I have faced in my life, was able to get on the other side of it, that's for me a good contribution of my life.
That's a good contribution. And I'm picturing Tribbel one day, maybe a kid's lost, they grow up, their father dies, they get mugged, whatever, something like you, and they don't even know you, but they find this app.
Yeah, man.
And the app changes their life, just much like a book might change someone's life or a movie. But I think the app will be much more powerful because it's a more specific problem. But dude, I see greatness in your future.
Man, I appreciate it.
And
I really do, man. I see the same. I'm happy that we encountered each other in this. Life can be difficult, but then again, you want some people who share a vision with you in a way that would make it easier to go through it.
You know, I try not to obsess about the future either. I no longer fantasize about 1 million subscribers or 1 million. Like I said, I'm already successful. This podcast is already a W. If it get whatever views it gets.
W with Riz. Called W Riz.
But I will say this.
Yeah.
What would be really cool one day is if I had an audience and they could meet each other through Tribbel. That would be
that would be my honor. That would be my honor. 100%. 100%.
Alright. You have the freaking hugs.
Alright, man.
We'll give him with a squat hug. Okay, but